Welcome back to the Creative Creatures podcast. I'm joined today by Leah Morris, lead copywriter at RGA, champion of gender equality in the ad industry. And I'm going to call you a LinkedIn expert because let's be honest, I think that's what you are.
I have some expertise in LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're a bit of a gun in that space. So thank you for being here. I thought we'd start by taking you back all the way to where we first met. And that was at the award school, if you recall.
Yeah, that's a while ago.
Yeah, so award school, for anyone who doesn't know, is probably the most recognized credential to get into the ad industry, more so than any bachelor degree, would you say?
Yeah, I did a bachelor degree as well, but I would agree that award school probably helped me more than the degree.
So for anyone who doesn't know what it is, it's a night school. I think it goes for about 12 weeks from memory.
Yeah, 8 to 12 weeks.
Yep.
One brief a week.
Exactly. So you would sort of think that sounds easy. The way it works is they would give you a problem to solve in a marketing way or a product, and you have to come up with a solution in terms of a commercial. But I guess the kicker is you can't actually produce the commercial.
Yeah.
You can't use Photoshop or film anything. It's basically paper and pen, and it's all about creating a big idea.
Yeah, it's very conceptual.
Like I said, it sounds easy. It sounds a bit like a high school project. I found the kicker was because it's 12 weeks, by the time you're at that 12 week, they're all due at the same time.
Yeah, but you get one brief per week. So you get a week to focus on each one. And then if you get behind, it snowballs.
Exactly.
So then you get to the end and you're like, shit, I haven't finished that script. I haven't finished that TV one.
Exactly. So you can manage your time. You've got 10 different questions that you could focus on, and some of them you're happy with, some of them you're not happy with, or they're close, and you've got to kind of manage your time. So it was a crazy time.
And you get industry experts
yes.
to go over it. And they all, because creative feedback's so subjective, they all give you conflicting feedback. So you're like, well, so-and-so thinks that I should change it. And then someone else is like, nah, it's good, leave it.
Yeah, and then you've got your friends and family telling you something. So it's mostly compiled of copywriters and art directors. I'm an art director, you're a copywriter. Mm-hmm. I guess we approach it in different ways. While you're allowed to do copy if you're an art director, it's basically anyone who is a creative and wants to get into the ad industry.
And we're all hungry to get a job, and we're all poor, and we're all hustling. So there's that too.
Very competitive. I think I remember them saying that year was the biggest intake they'd ever had. They told me it was like 400 or 450 applicants and only 50, I think, accepted.
I actually didn't get accepted, and then someone pulled out and I got their spot.
Jeez.
So I got in
well, there you
by
go.
a hair.
That's why it is considered important. Even if you get in and you finish the course already, there's also a top 10. There's like winners of the top 10. But if you're accepted in the course and you complete it, then already that's like a shoe-in a way in the advertising industry. There's also the wall at the end on the ceremony. They have all the best sort of 5 answers to each question on the wall. So it's all very competitive. And anyway, I met you there. And when we finished, you were accepted at Big Red after applying, right?
Yeah. I got a job there.
And
it was, I can tell you how it happened. Basically, the recruiter that was working for them at the time owed them a hire because she'd gotten them someone, a copywriter, and it hadn't worked out. Right. So she was kind of in trouble with them for giving them a dud. So she gave them a freebie, which was me. So again, I got in by hair.
Right. So that's the first time I heard that. But all I know is you invited me along, and I'll never forget the quote that you told me a while later. You said, they asked me I needed a duo, an art director. And I thought to myself, you're probably the least arrogant of the top 10. Now, I'm not sure if that's changed since then, your opinion, but...
Did I say that to you? What the fuck? Yeah, there's a lot of egos in this business though. And if you don't have one, it actually does make you stand out.
That top 10 was, there was a lot of egos bouncing around in there. So, but anyway, I was thinking about it lately, and if it wasn't for you, I never would have gone to Big Red, which was the biggest privately owned agency in the country at the time, I'm pretty sure.
Biggest independent agency.
And
not part of a network.
I never would have met Selby, who's the co-founder of Duck Suit, which is my agency.
A legend.
So in a way, you're probably very much, if it wasn't for you, you wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have the studio.
How's that?
Yeah, so I have you to thank, and you've played a massive role in my career and in my life. So thank you for
cheers,
that.
mate.
But anyway, on to you, copywriting. So I was thinking, to a lot of people, they probably see copywriting as one broad term, almost like a journalist or something.
Well, typically at barbecues, they think I'm a lawyer because they think copywriting, copyright law. So sometimes if I'm talking to someone that I don't know and they're like, what do you do? I'm like, yeah, I'm a copywriter. They're like, oh, can you patent my new invention? I'm like, nah.
Right. Okay, so for people who don't know, in advertising.
It's a craft, the written craft. So any sort of written element of a piece of comms, whether that's a TV script or radio ad, it could be a headline on Billboard, it could be catalogue, could be anything really that's written.
And oftentimes paired with the art director or at least a team that has art directors involved because you guys work together. Yeah,
definitely. And especially in a traditional setting. Like a traditional setting, I mean, we talk about this in advertising. If you're not in the business, like you probably won't know, but it's kind of interesting. You know, typically you'd make what we call above the line advertising. So that's like TV and radio. In that kind of creative process, you definitely need an art director and a copywriter to be paired so that they can marry up the copy with the visuals, the copy being the written aspect of it. And then now at RGA, I work more in a digital setting for web-based and platform-based content. So I don't actually work with any art directors. I work with UX designers, visual designers, SEO, yeah.
One of the many things that's changing around these days. I've noticed being in the industry, there's a difference between long form copy and short form copy. And how would you describe it? Is it different copywriters focus on different things, or is one more, of a skill based thing than the other?
Yeah, totally. Like every copywriter has their strengths. And I think with short form copy, like there's probably more scope for creativity because you kind of might be trying to come up with a punchy headline or something that communicates a single-minded concept. But then with long form, it's more like the craft of storytelling in that longer format. So it's kind of like more comparable to journalism or content writing.
Do you find one of them harder than the other?
Yeah, definitely short form. Like I find the shorter it is, the longer it takes, which sounds ridiculous. But when you have less words, you have to be more choosy with which ones you use. So the hardest briefs are a naming brief, like where you have to come up with a brand name or a name for a new app or platform. That can take weeks because you just go through it, option after option and finding that one word that summarizes a million different things that are on the brief that are also on your mind as a creative that you want to communicate. It's just fucking so hard.
It's often the case that sometimes the simpler it is, the harder it is.
Exactly.
We want to simplify an ad.
100%.
And in terms of getting into copywriting, where you were gun at English, is that if someone's looking to get into copywriting, do they have to be a grammar expert, a spelling expert, an English scholar?
Well, I never won anything except the school spelling bee.
Oh, there you go.
So, yeah, when I was kind of because I grew up in Wangaratta in the country as well. And there wasn't a lot of awareness of what kind of jobs were available. I probably thought I was going to work at the local bakery or, I don't know, maybe farm work. Fuck that. So, yeah, I was play to my strengths. I'm good at spelling bees. I'm good at English. I'm good at literature. Those high school courses, media. So that's kind of when I started digging into what kind of jobs you could do with those skill sets.
And I reckon a lot of business owners, or especially small businesses, they probably picture putting a photo of their product, a logo and a description is enough. It'll do the job. Do you have a selling pitch for them? What is it that copywriting done well brings to the table?
Yeah, I mean, if people don't know what you do, they don't know what to come to you for. And if you don't articulate it well, then you'll be attracting the wrong clients or customers.
And is something creative, it's going to stick in people's minds more?
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be memorable. There's so much clutter online now. It's so hard to cut through. I think LinkedIn hit 1 billion users last year, and business owners are complaining that they're not getting the engagement that they used to get and all of that. But it's because they haven't got digital strategy. They're not putting in that work to make sure that they articulate who they are and what they're offering in a way that will cut through and stick with people.
I've seen that too. And I think it's an undervalued skill set at times and a very important part of the equation.
Oh, everyone always forgets copywriting. You can't have an ego in copywriting.
So I'll touch on your side project Mavens in a sec, but your current role, tell us about it. And since Big Red, you've moved around a bit. What are you doing nowadays?
Yeah. So Big Red, we worked on Coles together. So that was a really good way to cut your teeth, because a big supermarket client, you'll touch every, possible format of creative advertising, because they advertise right through the line. So everything from digital to TV, radio,
and
content.
Every product you can almost think of, because they've just got aisles and aisles of it.
Yeah, exactly. And then after that I went to HBK, which was a bit smaller, but still had some really big clients, including Steel Power Tools and Dulux, and Dulux owned brands like their wood care brands. And that was really a really good step, because that supermarket experience was transferable. Like that retail foundation was really helpful, and this is still helpful today. Like anything, we're in the business of selling stuff, so to do that on a supermarket was a really good way to start out, as evil as supermarkets are. I won't go into that. But now working at RGA, I work on Toyota, so it's kind of it's quite different in that, like I said, it's platform-based work. So I write for the Toyota website, but it's been really interesting to work for a global agency that is so innovative and so tech-focused, and sort of also brand experience focused online. So just working out like how we can sort of create an experience using digital for people that are shopping around for a new car.
All right. So I've noticed you're pretty active on LinkedIn. You've got lots of followers. You seem to be able to understand and make the most of the algorithms. So I'm wondering, how could people improve their LinkedIn with your learnings? What advice would you give to enhance presence of, this is talking about marketing managers, business owners, that kind of thing?
Well, for starters, I would definitely have it. I think a lot of people think, I'll just make a LinkedIn company page and that's all I really need. I'm not going to work on my own personal brand or use my own LinkedIn that much. But I think that's a folly. Like, you should definitely be using yourself to be the face of your business. Personally, I know that's probably harder with big organisations, but even big organisations will have a face of the business, or somebody, a charismatic leader or something that people can relate to. Because I think in this digital era, like, it's very tempting to sort of hide behind
your brand,
the internet and your brand, but people still, they love people. Like, that human connection is irreplaceable. And, you can automate a lot now as a business owner as well, but you can't automate relationships.
So what kind of things would they be posting when you're talking about themselves as opposed to the business?
I think it's really important to lead with your values, like attracts like. So when I started Mavens, so this is my side hustle. It's a magazine to champion women working in the advertising industry. I was just thinking about how important it was to me that I would personally have pathways in the future. There's not a lot of women, especially over 50, working in senior roles, or if they are, they're not getting much visibility. So that was like, I'm just going to talk about that on LinkedIn because that's really important to me, and it's still related to my work. And I just got a lot of support. I actually thought I was going to get backlash at first. I was a bit nervous. I was like, I'm going to sound like an angry feminist, and me, I'm not. But other people don't know me from a bar of soap, so I was worried about how I was going to look. But instead, it just started building a network of really like-minded people, men and women, who were like, yeah, this is actually a legit issue. Like, why aren't we talking about it? So I think talking about your values is a really good place to start. If you're a values-driven person, some people just aren't. And that's okay too. So then you can talk about whatever it is that you're most passionate about, because I think passion is catchy. Like, people want to see you really believe what you're saying, and that's inspiring.
And I think a lot of people think that it's wanky, and that's the reason why they kind of struggle or steer away from it. So any advice on that? Do you lean into it, or?
Yeah, I think I get that. Like, it can be sound wanky, especially if it's forced or if you're following other people's pathways and trying to do things the way you think you should be doing something because so-and-so is doing it that way. But if you do it your way and you do it with your own voice and you practice your own voice and finding your own voice, then it won't, because if you're authentic, you'll come across authentic.
Okay.
If you're a dickhead, you'll come across a dickhead.
That's good advice. So it's a bit different. It's a bit of an enigma, LinkedIn. I feel like while all the other platforms are zigging, they're zagging. They're not really, you feel like these days TikTok and Instagram are kind of carbon copies.
Yeah.
They've gone a bit off that track. Is there any types of content that you see working? Is it blogs or written based stuff, or just talking about your experience behind the scenes on a project? Or is it a video that works best, similar to an Instagram or TikTok?
I think if it's like your personal LinkedIn, then it's very much like what you're doing and your why as well. Because LinkedIn's great. It's like visual and text based. So you can include visuals, but you don't have to rely on visuals to hook people, because they actually are there to consume like content, because they're probably on the clock getting paid for it, so they don't care. But
I find that also LinkedIn is probably viewed a little bit more on desktop. People are probably opening it up when they're at work.
Yeah, 100%.
Because LinkedIn is in a way an extension of networking.
Yeah.
So when it comes to B2B clients, they often find that networking is a great way to get ongoing loyal clients.
Yeah,
and
networking is the best way. Like, building community is the best way. And if you have a B2B, if your business is B2B and you're not on LinkedIn, like, that's really sad to me.
Nah, all right. So, all right, Mavens. Tell us about that. It's a non-for-profit.
It's not non-for-profit.
It is. Okay.
You have to be certified to be not-for-profit, and it's not certified.
Okay.
It is a business, but I don't, like, any money that I make on it goes back into the initiative.
All right. Well, just in case, I'll reintroduce that part. All right. So, Mavens, tell us about your little side project going on. What's it about? What motivated you to get into it in the first place?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it started during lockdown, so COVID, we're all at home, and there was kind of this like social climate of people questioning what they wanted from their lives. Like, there was a lot of people going, oh my God, my job is so pointless. Like, what am I doing? I'm just a shit stain on the world. I didn't have that, but I did have that moment where I was like,
A friend of a friend. Yeah.
No, I was just like, I could be doing more. Like, what am I going to give back to the industry? Like, what is my legacy going to be? And also, what is the industry going to look like in the future? Because I was kind of like, with that extra time on my hands, I'm like, I'm going to do a 5-year plan. I'm going to do a 10-year plan. Maybe I'll even do a 20-year plan. And then you start thinking that far ahead, and you're like, actually, the current state of the industry is not very good for women, especially older women. 1 in 10 creative directors are women. There's plenty of women in the business. They're just at those lower ranks. And, it's no one's fault. I mean, it's patriarchy's fault, but it's just the
Society's fault.
Well, yeah, women, the industry started after World War II, when all the soldiers got back from fighting in the war. And Madison Avenue in America kind of became like the central point of advertising. And so there was a lot of war vets that were working in agencies, and, they sort of created this business. So we do have men to thank for creating this business, which we love. But it was, they did build it for themselves, which makes sense because that was the social structure at the time. But now, women are sort of facing the barriers of a world that wasn't set up for them. So we just need to do a bit more work to fix that.
And in terms of promoting Mavens, I've been to one of your launch events for your magazines, and maybe just show us the magazines again that you've brought there.
With pleasure. So this is volume 1 here. We had Lynn Depp on the cover, and Paulina Shilinena. They run a Sisterhood, which is a nationwide mentoring program for underrepresented creatives, and they've just gone global. So they're now in New Zealand as well, and hoping to start up in London, I believe. And then on this cover we have Tiff Ung, who runs her own social agency called The Social Story, and that's actually got a really unique business model. I believe it's a not-for-profit. So she has a lot of social change clients, but I just love that she's found a way to build an agency that's so unusual and just hasn't been done before. I like people that start their own thing, which is obviously why I think Duck Soup's really cool as well. And anyone that sort of starts up something is going to inspire others, I find.
Well, I've been through some of these and they are quite incredible. So great work with it. It's quite a traditional way to market, having a magazine. Do you also, is there a bit of a blend between traditional, having a hard copy and then also promoting it online?
Yeah, I have copped a bit of shit for that when I first launched the magazine.
Well, it creates PR buzz, I suppose, especially when you have a launch.
It does. And also, so my designer, Vanessa Ladelfa, who designed both of these magazines from scratch, she's incredible. The first thing she said when I was like, can you design us a magazine to print? She's like, why the fuck would you want a magazine? And I was like, it's not about the magazine, it's about the weighting. Like, you know, when you hold something like this, it's tangible. So instantly it holds more gravitas and people are just like, okay, I instantly get what you're about flicking through this. And then, of course, like you said, you get to have a launch event and with that comes PR. And our industry is very, like the advertising industry loves to blow smoke up its own ass, right? So if you can use trade press, you can instantly make a name for yourself in the business.
Plus you're filming the events and breaking them up, and you just mentioned before you're going to release little snippets of the actual event on socials and that kind of thing. So
and we have Duck Soup to thank for coming out and helping us shoot some content as well.
It was great fun. So I recommend if there's a volume 3.
Great one-legged fun because you're on crutches at the time.
Yes. Yeah, I was injured after an unfortunate accident.
But you still showed up.
I showed up. It was, to be honest, it was a train wreck. It's still recovering, by the way. But
Selby kind of carried you, but you got it done and it was really good.
And are we expecting a volume 3?
Yeah, so this is the thing about side hustles. They're pretty tiring. So this year we're not going to do a volume 3. Usually we launch it in September. I just took all of September off work and I think I'm going to go somewhere sunny and just, relax by the beach for the whole month.
It's fair enough. You deserved it.
Yeah, but next year, definitely, I reckon.
All right. Well, it was great to have your insight and direction across copywriting, everything. One thing I just want to touch before signing off is AI.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know, what do you think about AI? I feel like of all of the different platforms that are coming out, ChatGPT happens to be the king. So do you see that becoming a problem with copywriting?
I don't think... So ChatGPT is a large language model, so an LLM, which is a specific type of AI. And for ChatGPT, it's kind of got that chatbot interface, but you can have large language models that don't have a chat. And I think they're just in their infancy now, but they will become really useful. Like, imagine if you could store all your organization's data into one model and give everybody that needs access to that so that you can automatically check things like, consistencies on your website, or if you've got a big team that needs to be onboarded, you've got access to that as well, all in one place. I think its capabilities are just incredible and it's only just getting started. And the fear of it is valid as well. Like, AI, it will carry all the bias and all the negative attributes that humans have because we train them, right? So we just got to be mindful of that as well.
Well, I've always said AI is probably coming for us all. It seems that copywriting is kind of at the front of what people believe that it might take.
Yeah.
But have you seen anything in industry so far? Is anything changing? Is there prompt engineers around, or is there less copywriters in the industry, or is it not kicked in yet?
That term prompt engineer is such a wank. But I do love it because, it kind of is what you do when you use ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's just anyone.
Yeah. But, I think about when they invented the calculator, right? Everyone was like, mathematicians aren't going to have jobs. We might as well just give up and go home. The calculator's replacing everything. And it didn't. It just made humans able to do their jobs better and spend their time doing things that they'd rather be doing than crunching numbers. And I think it'll be the same with copywriting. These will become really useful tools that will take care of some of the more dry stuff so that we can actually be creative and put energy into things that AI can't do.
At the end of the day, AI can write a bunch of different creative options, but the input and the smarts behind the input and understanding what's going to come across best and sell the product best and making that decision of what to put in and what to take out, I think will always take someone who understands it and sort of lives and breathes it.
Exactly. Decision making will always need to come back to people, I think.
But it's interesting scenario because you'll probably see the landscape changing a bit, but it sounds like there'll always be a place for a copywriter somewhere. So.
Yeah, and never automate relationships.
True. All right. Well, thanks again, Copywriting, LinkedIn, and Mavens and gender pay equality. You're the expert.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, it's been great. And until next time, we got to have a big red reunion here sometime in the office.
On the deck.